Jai Shri Ram. Let us learn some words which describe human character and behavior. Arresting. An arresting beauty means something that is very original and very attractive. Arresting used as an adjective here. Alluring. Very alluring, tempting. Beguiling. Beguiling means tempting and deceiving, because guile means deception. Wiles and guiles means ఎత్తుగడలు. వైలీ ఫాక్స్ అంటాము, WILY. వైలీ ఫాక్స్ అంటే జిత్తుల మారి నక్క. मतलब बिगाइलिंग मतलब डिसीविंग, डिसेप्शन, समथिंग जो आपको बेवकूफ़ बनाएगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ए गुड स्पिनर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल if we take Shane Warne, he was a master of beguiling the batsman into thinking that it's a full length ball, but actually there is so much topspin on it that it falls short and the batsman is caught in no man's land. So that's beguiling. Beguiling means deceiving, cheating. Breathtaking, awesome. Caparisoned, that means decorated. Caparisoned elephants. Trappings, there's a word trappings there, you can see. Trappings. He has all the trappings of a Swamiji. That means he has he wears an ochre dress, he wears a pagdi, and all the other symbols. Trappings means all the symbols and paraphernalia that go into the making of whatever. Trappings of a magician, trappings of a holy man, trappings of a senior bureaucrat. So, caparisoned means highly decorated. Usually, cap means a head. So, caparisoned means wearing a crown or something like that. So, well, let us leave it there. Dapper means neat, in a dapper dress. Natty. If you look down, there is word natty there. And there's another word, spruced up. It will come later. In a dapper suit, in a natty suit. All spruced up, SPRUCE, spruced up. That is the phrasal verb. That means very trim and neat and smartly dressed. Debonair. That's the ultimate word to describe somebody who is very positive. Debonair means very, very cultured, very suave. Suave means very refined, very cultured. And debonair also means very friendly, genial, approachable, affable, accessible. So, and then debonair also includes a high level of energy. That means vivacious, very jaunty. This is the word you can use to describe our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, who is a debonair personality, and that's the reason why he has an international charisma. That means he is suave, genial, jaunty. He is very polished. So, debonair means very cultured, very refined, very polished, and very friendly and very energetic. So use this word only for the best kind of personalities you come across in life. An engaging conversationalist. Engaging, charming, attractive, entrancing, really captivating, very beautiful, an entrancing beauty. Fetching, very attractive. Immaculate, perfect. Immaculate conception is a Christian concept, that Christ was born of a virgin. Immaculate conception. Immaculate technique, Rahul Dravid. Immaculate means perfect. Impeccable, faultless. Pekka means fault. Peccant behavior, that means faulty, flawed, or some kind of a delinquent behavior. Delinquent. Delinquency means a petty crime or violation of propriety. Impeccable manners, that means perfect. So peccavi means my fault anyway. Imperial, very lordly, majestic. It has a positive connotation, an imperial presence. Our Prime Minister has an imperial presence, like an emperor. Ingratiating. This word can be used positively and negatively. Ingratiating personality means very pleasing, very friendly, and very polite and all that. So remember, the word ingratiating can be used negatively or positively. In the positive sense, ingratiating, he will manage to ingratiate himself with the crowd. That means he will find favor with everybody with his good behavior. An ingratiating smile. would mean chamchagiri, sycophantic, ingratiating behavior. So unctuous, I have written unctuous there. You look at that word unctuous, it is pronounced unctuous. If you are a GRE student, all these words are important. If you are simply learning English, fine, you can use these words to describe behavior. Unctuous behavior is what you see in the Congress party, chamchagiri. People drooling, fawning all over, fawning. F-A-W-N, fawn means to behave like a chamcha. Fall at somebody's feet simply because they are very powerful. So ingratiating is a double-edged sword. You can use it positively, you can use it negatively. Very laddy-daddy. Laddy-daddy means, excessive elegance. Too much of, niceties and overly refined. Very laddy-da. High society ladies will behave like that. Mellifluous voice, sweet voice. Modish, very fashionable. Natty, very neat and smart. Nifty, stylish. Nubile, of marriageable age. Especially applies to a girl. Nubile age. A girl of nubile age means one who is of a marriageable age. Opulent, very wealthy. Fabulously wealthy. Patrician, aristocrat, like a king, Raja. Prepossessing, very attractive. Redolent, it can mean reminding. If A is redolent of B, that means A reminds you of B. Redolent can also mean fragrant, which means very pleasant smell. So redolent of something, evocative, suggestive, right? Evocative can also mean an evocative speech, which means something that is passionate, arouses passion in the listener also. Suggestive is a word which can mean indecent. Suggestive glances, suggestive dressing, suggestive walk means vulgar, trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex, especially applied to women. The word suggestive is not used to describe male behavior. It is used to describe female behavior. A scrumptious meal, very tasty. Scrumptious, toothsome. Mouth-watering doesn't sound good because it reminds me of dogs. So you must say scrumptious, delectable, delicious, toothsome, all mean very tasty. Spellbinding, awesome, breathtaking. Swenia, very fashionable. It's a positive word. Chic means very fashionable, very fashionable. Spruced up, all trim and neat. Suave, very polished, very cultured. Now let's look at the second column. Tantalizing. Tantalize means to tempt but fail to satisfy the desire. Tantalize is an interesting word. Tantalus was the name of a king, Greek king who was sent to hell. He was made to stand in a pool with wine up to his neck and fruits and food hanging, viands hanging from above. V-I-A-N-D. Viand means all sweet meats. Sweet meats does not mean meats. Sweet means all good food. So fruits were hanging. So imagine the scene. You are in a tank with wine up till your chin and food hanging above your head. But when you want to eat, the food will recede, and when you want to drink, the wine recedes. So everything appears to be within grasp, but actually when you try to grasp them, you realize that you cannot touch them also. So that is tantalizing. Success can be very tantalizing to people who don't have any sense of discipline in their lives. You might be very talented, but if you don't have any discipline, if you don't get up early in the morning at 4 o'clock, if you don't maintain your health, if you put junk into your body, if you get easily frustrated, then you might be very intelligent, high IQ, even then you will never achieve success. Success will always be tantalizingly close, but you will perhaps never become successful unless you have very high EQ. EQ is emotional quotient, which means control over your emotions and feelings, able to judge other people's emotions too. So tantalizing means something that seems to be within grasp, but actually is beyond grasp. Willowy, svelte, svelte. Willowy means very slender, applied to girls who have a slender figure. So very supple. Supple means flexible, like an athlete. Decrepit, a decrepit building, rundown condition. Derelict building, abandoned. A derelict old man, abandoned. Grotesque, very ugly. If we grow tusks, we will all become ugly. Hideous means ugly. Infelicitous, inappropriate. Or an occasion that is sad or sorrowful or melancholy. Felicitous means happy. Infelicitous is therefore the opposite. Macabre means horrifying or pertaining to death. Chow, a macabre scene, lot of blood and gore and flesh and all that. Macabre means pertaining to death and horrifying. Okay, there is a word on the left, pretentious. Pretentious means pretending to be very important or smart while actually one is not. So putting up a show, ostentatious and snobbish. Snobs are people who imitate the higher ups or people who are rich and look down on the others. So our society is full of snobs. Americans are a nation full of snobs. Snobbery, you see, movie snobs, fashion snobs, haircut snobs, fashion snobs. They always wear the latest fashions. And all kinds of snobs are there. Speech snobs. Young people tend to pick up jargon, tend to pick up slang, and they think they are very cool. That is snobbery, language snobbery. So snobbery is when you feel superior. You have you feel that your status is very high and you look down on others, but for no good reason. Actually, your status can be high if you are really intelligent. You can contribute to other people's knowledge. That is really worthwhile status to have. Most young people don't have that, but they pretend to be superior. That is snobbery. Meretricious is a word with two meanings. It can describe the makeup of a prostitute, a meretricious makeup, very cheap and flashy. A meretricious argument is false but convincing. There are many religions, for example. I'm not convinced with the Abrahamic cults and even Buddhism. I find the arguments are extremely meretricious, which means convincing but actually false. Within a few questions, we can expose the hollowness of that religion. Scabrous, very indecent behavior. Scabrous means also having scales, a very ugly kind of skin which is dirty and scaly. Slovenly means dirty, shabby, unkempt hair, tousled, unsightly. So opposite of slovenly would be very neat and natty and dapper and spruced up. Atrabilious can mean morose, which means very gloomy. Splenetic means hot-tempered, irritable. A draconian law. Draconian means very harsh. For example, 153A, 295A in the Indian penal section is an extremely draconian law. Anybody can suddenly go and file a case against me saying that he offended my religion. It's a non-bailable case. And you will have to go through the torture. Afterwards, even if you are proved innocent, you have gone through sufficient torture. So that's a draconian law. Draconian means extremely harsh. Okay. Dyspeptic. Dyspeptic means irritable, in a bad mood. So some old people are always dyspeptic. Frosty, very cold, unfriendly, standoffish. Glowering, staring angrily. Huffish. Huffish means very rude and peevish and petty-minded, irritable, hot-tempered. Niggardly, miserly. Though this word is a slightly offensive word because it refers to black people in a term which is considered pejorative. Pejorative means insulting, derogatory. You cannot address a black person as a Negro. That reminds them of slavery. Just as you should not call Hindus as kafir. Kafir in the Quran is najis. Najis means shit, filth, fecal matter, matlab poop. So that is the word kafir or kufar is the plural. It is there in the Holy Quran, which is extremely insulting, pejorative, derogatory. Similarly, for non-believers in the Bible, they have words like pagan, heathen, gentile. These are also extremely insulting words. So these are words which we should never use to describe anybody. We must learn to respect humans unconditionally. Unconditional positive regard for all human beings, irrespective of their race or religion. But unfortunately, these religions have such words. In Hinduism, we don't have any such word. We have a word, malecha, which means one who does not accept the Vedas. But malecha has no negative connotation. It doesn't mean somebody who deserves to be converted or killed. Persnickety. Persnickety means very fastidious, very fussy, people who are very difficult to please, very meticulous, and very finicky, F-I-N-I-C-K-Y. These are people who are very, very fussy, very difficult to please. Procrustean, extremely negative word. Enforcing strict conformity, like Sharia law. If you see Islamic countries, they have Sharia law. They don't have any democratic law. So laws are very simple. based on their religion. 5.38 Holy Quran says, thieves, the hands should be cut. That's it. So these are very pro-Christian laws. Splenetic, hot-tempered. Bristly. Bristly means very angry. Bristles actually are fibers. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that. Bristly means always hot-tempered. Surly. Surly means very rude. Surly behavior. Gruff and churlish. Testy. Irritable. Nettlesome. In an irritable mood. Vitriolic. Extremely sarcastic. Vitriol means sulfuric acid. A vitriolic satirist, like Voltaire. Voltaire was a vitriolic satirist. I would love to call myself one, but I don't have the guts to do that, because then we have this draconian laws, 153A and 295A. Given complete freedom, I can ruthlessly savage both Christianity, Islam, Buddhism and communism. So, but I can't do that. I love to be a vitriolic satirist, but I cannot afford to do that. I don't have the guts, because this law is so draconian. Waspish. Waspish means irritable. Irascible means hot-tempered, likely to get angry very fast, or is always irritable. A wizened visage. Wizened means old. मुसलिवाड़, बुढ़ा, जिसका फेस में बहुत सारे wrinkles है. Visage, I use the word visage, V-I-S-A-G, means a face. Withered. Withered means old and wrinkled. Blustering, very loud and boasting and swaggering. Swaggering means walking very proudly, with a swag. Okay. So, choleric means hot-tempered. Zealous or zealous, very passionate. Evangelical, that means trying to convert everybody, or very, very passionate about something, with a crusading enthusiasm. So, next word is emphatic in the third column. By now you would have realized I cannot cut this short. So many words you need to know, and you need to know them well, and you also need to listen to the phrases I am using so that you can also use them. And if you don't use vocabulary, you will forget. Emphatic reply. Emphatic statement means with emphasis. Freewheeling philosopher. I consider myself a freewheeling thinker. That means very liberal. I am so liberal that I can examine anything without any bias. Histrionic means overacting, or simply it can mean acting skills. Histrionic personality disorder. That means attention-seeking behavior, throwing tantrums. A tantrum is an explosive fit. Some people, drama queens and drama queens, talking with them is like walking on eggshells. Walking on eggshells is an idiom, which means these people are hypersensitive, and if you say anything, then they will throw a fit, and they'll say, oh my God, you said this, how dare you say this, and all that. So drama queens, too much melodrama. Malapert, very rude and very disrespectfully bold, not showing due respect. Impudent. Impudent means very rude and bold in the wrong sense. Meteoric rise. Meteoric means suddenly acquiring great fame. Obstreperous, very rebellious and very noisy and difficult to control. An obstreperous crowd. Overweening, very arrogant, thinking too much of oneself. Imperious. Turgid prose. Turgid prose means some writers use a lot of vocabulary. So that is turgid. That means it's very difficult to understand. Grandiloquent, magniloquent, very pompous. Bloated. Bloated prose. Bloated means, writing in which there is a lot of vocabulary. Too much. Bloated literally means a fat person who is, who's simply too fat. Voluble, positive word. Turgid also means swollen. Turgid simply means swollen. Voluble is a positive word. A voluble speaker, a voluble writer, that means very fluent and incessant. That means he is very fluent and speaks very fast and writes a lot. The positive word. Incommunicado, not willing to communicate or unable to communicate. Living incommunicado. In the Mahabharata, the Pandavas had to live incommunicado, Ajñātavāsam, for 1 year. So the next one is inscrutable, mysterious, inscrutable. Krishna's Leelas are inscrutable. Ram Leela is inscrutable. That means mysterious. God works in mysterious ways. You cannot really explain. That's why Hinduism says, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. That is Veda. That means at some point the mind will come back saying, no, I can't understand God. So it is so mysterious. Inscrutable. If there is a wooden table and you are trying to drive a screw into it, and it should actually go if it's a wooden table. But if it doesn't, then you will say, hey, it's very mysterious. Why is the screw not getting into the table? So that's inscrutable. I just gave you a mnemonic. Sequestered life means alone. Sequestered means separated, alone, lonely. To sequester in chemistry would mean isolate. Standoffish behavior. That means, very rude and thinking too much of oneself, very proud and arrogant, not mixing with people. Wraith-like. Wraith means like a ghost. Wraith-like means a person who has, who is probably anemic, who has no color in the face, like a ghost. Hard-bitten. Hard-bitten means actually, it can be used in a positive sense, which means very tough and insensitive because he a person who has seen a lot of difficulties in life. I think I am a hard-bitten Hindu. That means I am not willing to compromise anywhere. I will not spare anybody. Don't give me all pap that, some people are nice and no people are nice. These people who subscribe to such a religion cannot be considered nice. I am not naming them. Otherwise, those draconian laws will apply. Insuperable. That means insurmountable. Insuperable difficulties. That means so difficult that you cannot overcome them. Messianic zeal. Like a messiah. That means evangelical. That means promising deliverance or working with great enthusiasm. Opinionated. Negative. Opinionated means very stubbornly thinking and insisting that what one thinks, one's opinion is right, and completely disregarding others. Orotund. Orotund voice means very sonorous, sweet, but orotund can also mean very pompous. Rotund means very round, fat. Rotunda is a circular building. Our old parliament was a rotunda. Now it is not a rotunda, it's in a triangle shape. Okay, swashbuckling. That means very ostentatious, showy. It's a positive word. That means, actually it applies to warriors in olden days who used to wear shining armor. So swashbuckling batting. That means, like Virat Kohli sometimes does, or our Sky. So who is that fellow? Suresh Kumar Yadav, or Virat Kohli, or your Virendra Sehwag. That means very showy. Unregenerate. That means one who is very immoral, very dissolute, unrepentant. Willful. Willful is a word which means stubbornly insisting on doing what one wants to do irrespective of the consequences or feeling of others. So willful disobedience. That's one meaning. Willful also means, wanton is a synonym. Now wanton has two meanings. Willful disobedience. Willful means not following reasonable orders of the superior. Okay. Wanton. Wanton is a word with two meanings. Wanton women in wanton company. That means very lusty. If a man is hanging around with the call girls, so he's always in a wanton company. Lascivious, lewd means very lusty, vulgar, voluptuous, sexy. Wanton also means unjustified. Wanton destruction of life and property. Unjustified. So wanton is headstrong. I have written that. So I give you the meanings. Fatalistic. That means a person who believes in fate and he thinks that there's nothing that can be done. Hinduism is not fatalistic, though many Westerners think that it is fatalistic. No, Hinduism, if you study the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas, you will realize we are not fatalistic. Fatalism means simply submitting to destiny, thinking that nothing can be done. So it's a negative word. Non-committal, that means not committing to anything, not giving any firm promise. Protean, versatile, multi-talented, able to take many parts. Qualmish. Qualm means moral doubts. If somebody asks me to do something and if I feel that it is morally not correct, then I express my qualms. Qualms means misgivings, which means moral doubts. So if you are expressing qualms, that means you would object. You would demur, D-E-M-U-R. Demur means to object. So synonyms of qualms are misgivings, scruples, S-C-R-U-P-L-E. A scruple is a minor moral principle. To scruple means to hesitate on account of moral doubts. To scruple. If somebody asks me to do something and if I am scrupling, that means I am hesitating because I feel that should not be done and that is immoral. Queasy, uncomfortable, easily upset. Some people are queasy about violence. Some people are queasy, that means nauseated, easily upset, or feeling a vomiting sensation, easily upset. Subservient, that means under somebody else's control, behaving like a slave, subservient to somebody. Brawny, muscular. Hardball, playing hardball, ruthless. Strapping means very strong and muscular, brawny. Yeomanly service. Yeoman service is a word which means great service. It can mean, actually in olden days it meant a farmer. So yeoman service is an expression which means great service. So yeomanly means very staunch and sturdy and rendering great service. So you noticed one side. I've just completed one side of this. The other side I'll do it later. Please listen to it at least 2 times so that you begin to use these words and own these words and know these words. Throughout your life you will have to describe people's character. You can spend your own time doing your own research, marking out the words which you like, the positive ones and the negative ones, and start using them. People will stand up, sit up and listen to you. Improve your English vocabulary. Whether you are a GRE student or otherwise a person who cares to be respected, please go ahead. Thank you very much listening to me. Pass it on to everyone you know, and Jai Shri Ram.